Hello. I need help, and quite quickly. So, if anyone doesn't know me, my name is David. I'm 44 years old. I'm from England originally. I moved to Copenhagen in Denmark about 4 years ago with my then fiance, who is from Copenhagen originally, and our two kids who were born in the UK but are half and half. It was a bit of a risk to move over here, not least for me because I didn't have a job, although my ex did. But I still believe that this was a better place for our kids to grow up than London. So we took a punt and got here. Unfortunately, as soon as we got here, things turned out to be not quite what I thought they were. First of all, it's virtually impossible for a foreigner to find a job over here. It turns out it's quite a big thing. There's even a trending hashtag on LinkedIn, hashtag the forgotten gold. Many reasons for that, combination of sort of employment market forces and general arithmetic, cultural differences. But it is very difficult for foreigners to build a network over here because a lot of Danes don't really go out of their way to meet strangers for coffee, which means that all applications are done online. There are far more candidates than there are jobs over here. So it would seem that algorithms just sweep out a large swathe of applications before they even get through to reading resumes. And as all of the locals here speak English and Danish, and they're all pretty much degree educated, because university education is paid for by the state here, which is as it should be. It means that someone like me, despite 25 years of experience in sales and sales leadership in B2C and B2B, I have no degree, don't speak English, don't speak Danish. So I've been applying for thousands of jobs over the last 4 years and have barely had an interview. Once we got here, it started to become clear to me that actually I wasn't welcome here in my own home. And I started to realize that the intention wasn't for me to stay here long term. It was just that my consent and money and efforts were required to get us all over here. Over the course of that first year, I managed to get a part-time job in a shop. Unfortunately, I realized over time that the older female manager there was sexually harassing me. It took me a while to work out what was going on because it's gender dynamics are usually the other way around. I thought I could suck it up, and actually I was encouraged at home to keep my mouth shut and just deal with it because we needed that income. But it got particularly bad one day to the point where I was shaking so badly that I couldn't even serve a customer, so I raised a complaint. Long story short, it appears that they decided to sweep that under the rug, that manager who'd been there for a long time, and I lost that job as a result. During this time, I discovered that I have ADHD and have done my whole life, which is good news for me because I've spent the last few years, trying to understand myself, learning about neuroscience, psychology, so on and so forth. And whilst I had thought that drugs and alcohol were the things that were making my brain not do what I wanted it to, and I managed to achieve sobriety 8.5 years now, in spite of all of this. So that's great, because I can't even have a beer. It turns out that those things were actually just a symptom of this other thing. So anyway, as far as I was concerned, one step closer to self-understanding. I've been learning all about ADHD. It's caused me to reassess my entire life and identify the things that I have tried and failed to do over and over in my life, and so will never be able to do, and the things that I'm actually really good at as a result of it. So every day that I've been here has brought more clarity on what I'm going to do for my future in terms of the skills and attributes that I can double down on. But that was quite a revelation to me, and it's caused a lot of, it basically had to reassess what I thought was the story of my whole life. However, things at home were getting pretty bad. I was essentially it felt like erased from my own family. And eventually I discovered something which unfortunately meant that I had no choice but to end the relationship. I had naively thought that my reaction to this would decide the outcome. And my only interest was just to be happy, basically, and take it on the chin, move on for the sake of the kids and the fact that we've been together for a quarter of my life. I thought that, well, that's fine. We can still be friends and, just move on. Unfortunately, the reaction to me discovering this that I faced, I had not anticipated. And I was effectively made homeless and kicked out of my own home. And there began 4 months of effective homelessness, of living out of hotels and couch surfing, sleeping on stranger sofas, just to be near the kids and stay in the country. Because I found that I actually had to fight for my right to be a father and be in my kids' lives, and for their right to have me as a father in their lives. And that wasn't fun at all. Anyway, eventually, after about 4 months of that, I found another job, a full-time job, with a company that I've been in communication with for about a year. Software company, lots of transferable skills, except it involved getting to grips with a very complicated piece of software. So I was able to witness up close and personal for the first time with the understanding that I have ADHD, that there are some things that I really cannot do. And one of them is get to grips with very technical software products. Around that time, my psychiatrist that I've been working with for my ADHD told me that he believes that I also have something called complex PTSD as a result of all of my experiences in Denmark so far. I've always been quite interested in psychology and neuroscience and stuff, so that kind of thing doesn't worry me particularly. It's just, it's just something else to learn about and overcome. Eventually, I was able to get a small apartment. It's a 1-bedroom apartment. Kids' room is the bedroom, and the living room is my bedroom, and the dining room, and the kitchen. But I managed to, in a very short space of time, and with not very much money, turn this place into a home, and a fun, interesting, warm, inspiring childhood home for my kids, with whom I've been able to get pretty much equal access to. So they spend half their time with me, half their time with their mum. Unfortunately, sorry, fuck. Anyway, unfortunately, I was fired from that job around Christmas time. No warning, no formal process. It was a bit of a shock. It's not how I would have done it, having had the responsibility of firing more than one person throughout my career. But anyway, I thought I could turn it into a positive because these people basically persuaded me that if I stuck around during a portion of my notice to do an effective handover for clients and colleagues, which I would have done anyway, but anyway, they would leverage their network in the business community to do everything they can to help me find my next job. So I thought, okay, well, this is a positive. So the job was quite far away. It didn't pay quite enough for me to be able to eat proper food myself, only just about feed the kids. And I haven't eaten proper food since we first moved here, because I haven't really been able to afford to. And I've lost about 20 kilos since I moved here as a result. Anyway, also younger team, being called boomer every day and laughed at for my one finger typing, as although I enjoy a bit of workplace banter, that wore me down. So I thought, okay, This could be the next step, because for the first time I have access to an extensive business network in Copenhagen, and these people seem genuine in their offer to help me find my next job. Anyway, stuck around, did my handover. Their offer was not forthcoming, and apart from one team member introducing me to one other person, they've done virtually nothing. So I basically was just cut loose. I've been applying for jobs since Christmas. I've had 2 job interviews out of the hundreds that I've applied for. One of them I didn't get. It was another software company. It was a maternity cover focusing on the UK market. But reading between the lines on what they said, that they're looking for someone with new ideas and a fresh perspective on customer service. Basically, I'm too old. I'm now 44. I'm viewed with suspicion for not applying for more senior roles over here, in line with my experience. But when I do apply for senior roles, I'm sort of basically told that I'm not qualified because I don't have a degree. Anyway, I've been about a month behind in rent on this place for months now, constantly worrying about eviction, constantly worrying about how I'm going to feed the kids. I've had help from family and friends here and there, but the problem with that is that bridging capital only works if you've got something coming up on the horizon. But in order to keep the rent paid, I've had to prioritise bills. I haven't therefore paid the electricity bill for a couple of months. About an hour before I went into an interview for this second interview I was able to get, which is another job in a shop, the electricity cut out. I went and did the interview, thought it went pretty well, although that was about a month ago now. And anyway, electricity company, I called them up. Ironically, at the time, I had the money to pay the outstanding. It was about equivalent of about 200 quid. But in order to reconnect me with all the various charges and fines, and they want a deposit and stuff, it was the equivalent of about 700 quid. And to be honest with you, that has completely checkmated me. I've been doing everything I can for 4 years now to try and just be here and be a father to my kids. And I have constantly revised my hopes and dreams and ambitions for my future in line with my circumstances, and boiled it down to just one simple thing: just being a father to my kids. Just basic, pay the rent, feed them, and just exist with them here. Anyway, I've now been without power for about a month. I had to take the decision to not have the kids at me, because I've got a warm fridge full of rotting food that I can't afford to buy anyway, and I couldn't cook it if I had it. I've been doing a part-time cleaning job, cleaning people's houses in the meantime, but the hours just weren't enough. And also, that job is no longer available. The company is no longer exists, and I've come to the realization that I have to look at the data. I'm not going to be able to get a job, which is, it's been 4 years of basically a very loud message from Denmark that I don't really have any value, and so I'm not really wanted here, from both my children's mother and Copenhagen in general. But moving home is just out of the question. So let's game this out. If I move back to the UK and I cut and run on the rent here, there's a 3-month notice period required. That would fall to debt collectors. That's quite serious in this country. The same with the energy bill. Same with internet and all those things. If I leave the country, let's say it takes me, a few months to get a job in London, maybe a year to save up money, to square those things away, come back, get another deposit to get another place to live. It's going to be very difficult for me I won't be able to rent anywhere else to live here, which means that I'll be back in Denmark and back at square one. The longer that I'm out of Denmark, the more in the eyes of the family court system here, I'm not an active parent, which means that in order to justify the fact that it would harm the kids for me not to be allowed in their lives, it makes it very difficult. Unfortunately also, I've had to come to accept that their mother simply doesn't want me here, and never did, and is not exactly going to help in the kids having their father around, basically. So moving back to the UK as a sort of temporary holding pattern is just going to make everything much, much worse. And of course, I'm going to be without my kids, and they're going to be without me for that period of time. So from a practical point of view, that doesn't help, unfortunately. Now, I will take homelessness on the streets of Denmark and being in the same country as my kids over having a bed and a roof over my head in a country where they are not anyway. So, but the problem is, if I'm evicted, and I'm probably a day away from that now, because I'm coming up on 2 months behind rent, and all these other things become debts, then I basically just become a non-person in Denmark. So, if Denmark isn't going to employ me, I have to employ myself. I have an idea for a small business in which I can sustain myself. I can leverage the skills that I've remembered that I have in creativity and design, in creating artwork and home furnishings and things using found materials here, because over here is a huge problem. Just in our recycling shed in this block alone, every weekend another international family has had to leave, and they just throw away perfectly good furniture. So I have rediscovered the creativity that I forgot I had when I dropped out of art college 25 years ago. I'm really good at it. I actually really enjoy it. And half the furniture and things in this place are all found materials that I've upcycled. And even over the last 4 weeks, while I've been living in the dark, using battery-operated camper lamps, I've taken that time to teach myself lighting design. And I've been able to prototype using shit around the house and battery-operated lamps some quite attractive lamps that I believe that could be mass-produced and sold online, as well as various other products for the home, for families that want to create a nice, what I've done here basically, a nice warm, inspiring home for them and their kids. Because I'm not the only person that's suffering over here. I mean, the international community it's a thing basically. And I'm not the only one that is struggling. So I believe that I can get that business up and running and basically be able to help other people have nice, warm, interesting, inviting homes like I've created for me and my kids very cheaply. And in the meantime, I can work as a handyman, all-purpose manual labour, and I've accepted that my career is over. I think I accepted that a long time. And since I've been here, I've done manual labour, I've done cleaning, I've done voiceover work, I've done admin for a friend's business, I've done retail work, I've applied to be a food delivery driver. But as an indication of just how difficult the job market is over here, in order to work as a food delivery driver, there is a waiting list because there's too many. So I've been on that waiting list for months now. This is the only way that I can sustain myself and be here as a father to my kids. There is an idea of a viable opportunity, I think, to actually turn that into something much bigger. I've made a connection over here, really nice guy. He works in social impact investing. I told him about this idea, which basically involves taking on a small space cheaply that's due for redevelopment and turn it into a design studio from which I can run classes on creativity and design for kids and families. I can set up a mental health cafe in there. I can run other classes there. I can turn it into a community space for homeless people who can come in and take all these found materials, turn them into something else. I can set up a boutique shop in there that sells this stuff. I can split the profits with those people. Lots of different things I can do with this space. Most of them very cheaply, either as a joint venture with the local commune or the landlord, or as a profit share with the other people involved, so that I can actually not just help myself, but help other people that are struggling as well. But I've come to this realization, hit upon this idea just too late, unfortunately, because I'm literally about to tip over on a precipice. Like I say, I'm a day away from eviction. I haven't been able to have my kids here because it's not a good environment for them here. I've had to be honest with myself that I can't take care of them here. So they've been staying with their mum. My son made my kids quite sad, obviously. My son told me that he said it feels like I don't love them. And the other day he got some coins from his piggy bank and said it's okay that he can come and stay with me again because we've got money now. Fuck, I'm sorry. And that was the worst moment of my life. And it's a strong field because I've had quite a few moments like that since I walked into the trap of moving here with my family 4 years ago. I don't really want much. I just want to be able to sustain myself and be here. I'm trapped in a foreign country for my kids. But there are worse places. I mean, it's Denmark. I could be in Gaza or somewhere. There are far worse places. But I just want to be able to sustain myself and do the basics. Be able to eat food. Get back on top of my mental health. Because I tell you what, man. Constant anxiety and panic on top of ADHD that I'm learning about and trying to get to grips with. Sprinkling some CPTSD. Malnutrition. It makes it fucking impossible to think straight. And I just want to be able to get back to who I was. Exercise, nutrition, cooking, eating food. And just be a father to my kids. But I can't do it alone. I've had help over there. But I need to get the electricity back on, the internet back on, and I need to get those bills out of arrears before they fall to debt collectors. I need to get my rent up to date and ideally covered for a couple of months while I pursue this thing and pitch this idea for some investment to this new connection of mine who's offered to put me in front of his network, all of whom are sitting on funds of cash to be deployed and in the social impact space. So it's right in their wheelhouse. He thinks the idea has legs. In the meantime, I can set myself up and work from here as a base in order to do the handyman thing, design these products, sell them online. But I fear it's just too late. And all I want to do is just be a father to my kids. And for a reason as fucking stupid and arbitrary as a 44-year-old male with 25 years experience in business and sales leadership, to not be able to even get the most basic blue-collar job, to be able to pay rent on a very small apartment. It's just not a good enough reason as far as I'm concerned, for my kids to not have me as a father. So I need some help, and I need it like yesterday. My phone has now been cut off, so I don't even have access to the internet. And I'm beyond the point where I can laugh at the ridiculousness of this situation. So I have a target for this fundraise. It's pretty high, but that's long term to see us through to the point where I can get this business off the ground. But anything that anyone can support with right now, straight away, so that I can start drawing funds from the campaign just to get the electricity back on, get the rent paid up so that I'm not evicted, and just get back to the point where I can have my kids back and I can eat food myself and just stabilize. Anything that anyone can help with. And this video is way too long already, so I'm sorry, but the only thing I can promise in return is that for the people that know me will know that I'm someone that is almost pathologically kind and generous when I can be. And if I can get this idea off the ground, which I'll bore you with the details of later, then the whole purpose of it is not just to sustain me so that I can look after the kids. It's also so that I can help other people as I help myself, and set something up that finds a way in some small way to support and aid the other immigrants over here who are struggling like I am. So I promise you that if I can do this, I will continue to be the father that I know I am to my kids. And I will continue to help everyone that I come across that needs help, that I can help as I go. And I'm going to do it with, hopefully, a sustainable business that isn't very costly to run and can create opportunities, even from just a space to get a sense of community so that people like me don't feel like they're alone. They can get support from other members of the community, to opportunities to learn new skills and actually earn some money. And if it gets to that stage, create some jobs for other people as well. Jobs for people who just need to pay the rent so they can stay here and participate in what is a fantastic system that the Danes have set up for themselves. I can see why they are regularly the world's happiest people. Unfortunately, that system, really by accident, is very difficult for immigrants in this country to participate in. And all we want is a slice of it, just to come and pay taxes, have a simple life, and just, enjoy being in our families. Anyway, video's too long now. I don't know how the fuck I'm going to upload this, but I need help. I need to get my internet switch back on as well. I might get my phone reconnected, because without that, I can't even coordinate with my kid's mother to see the kids and help out with them. So anyone that's watching this video that doesn't know me, I apologise. I'm normally hilarious and fun to be around, but as things have come to a crunch point over the last few days, man, I just have no sense of humour whatsoever. But if you guys can help in any small way that you can, even if it's just sharing this amongst your network, then I'll reward you with a dad joke. I've got loads of them, and my kids love them. My daughter hates them, but my son loves them. So I'm sorry to impose upon you, and I thank you in advance. And I'm going to put a link to, I started a TikTok channel about a year ago. as part of my ongoing journey of learning about mental health and everything that I've learned that has helped me that I thought might help others in terms of basically just how to be happy and understanding ourselves. So I'll put a link to that in there if anyone's interested, and then you can see what I'm normally like when I'm not sat in the dark shitting myself. Anyway, I'm sorry to bother you. Thank you very much for watching. Congratulations if you made it to the end of this. Please donate whatever you can. And if you can't, I totally understand. It's tough for everyone, man. It's difficult for everyone. But if you could please just take a minute to share this amongst your network, that would be massively appreciated. And I cannot adequately express how urgent this situation is, or the depth of gratitude that I have to you for helping me stick around for these guys. And if you can help, and I can stay in this place even for a little bit longer, maybe I can finally finish the bike that I found, which I'm trying to upcycle for my son so that I can teach him to ride his bike. Because in the first few months of being here, I was able to have that work-life balance that I just couldn't have in London, to teach my daughter how to ride a bike. And it was the single most rewarding experience of my life, man. And I can continue working on these lighting products and other stuff that I started developing, which are all super cheap. Anyway, I'm sorry and thank you.